All right, so you guys have probably seen this in-game announcement here. People are not very happy about it, and rightfully so, honestly. So, since the launch of the new tournament system, we've been reviewing all your feedback, so thank you for sharing it with us. We are making important adjustments to improve matchmaking fairness and ensure a smoother progression curve for everyone. Now, this first paragraph here is set to make it seem like everything that's following is stuff that people have asked for, which is not true. But some of it is. Some of it's actually decent, and I'll get into the nuances of all of it. So we identified that early rank progression is happening too quickly based on your feedback. This pushed players into higher ranks before their hangers were ready, leading to unbalanced and frustrating matches against veteran high SP players. Additionally, the reward payouts in early ranks were set higher than intended during our inaugural season. To address this, we're tweaking the following: matchmaking. Overall difficulty of bots encountered in tournament battles will be increased to ensure you aren't pushed into higher ranks until you're truly ready for the competition. And the rewards. Aquan rewards in all ranks will be reduced to help stabilize the in-game economy. Even with these changes, the rewards will remain higher than in the old tournament system. Victory-based rewards. Aquans will now be awarded exclusively for battle victories. Credits and fortune keys will continue to be distributed to all players regardless of win or loss. And then, of course, yeah, like these changes are here because we think they're good. And you can read the forum, open the link. I did before even starting recording, and there's no additional information there. But I think going back and kind of getting a little bit more in depth with some of this stuff. Some people, when they heard that the bots were going to be more difficult, they were very upset and they were thinking that that's a really bad thing, but I don't think so. The problem lies in a separate problem that people also don't really like, which is the way that the ranks work. So let's say Grandmaster, for example. Grandmaster is not built for everyone. It's not like the old thing where, you know, if you just play often enough and if you're good enough, you'll always get put up against people of similar SP, but, you know, if you do well, then you get to move up to Grandmaster. That's not the way it works here. The way it works here is matchmaking is primarily based on the rank, which means if you're really high SP, then you just get to win more often than not. And so what naturally results from this is that all of the highest SP people are in Grandmaster, and all of the ranks below that essentially are a scale of SP, generally speaking, right? So like if you're really low SP, you'll be in one of the lower brackets. If you're really high SP, you'll be in the higher brackets. And that's just the way that it normally pans out if you kind of let it play out that way. And that's the way it was intended to be. This was sort of, as far as I understand, a way to allow some type of reward scaling, right? So that, you know, if I were to give some random person 1,000 A-coins who is like 2,000 SP, they could do a lot with that. If I was to give one of my Fluke clanmates 1,000 A-coins, it wouldn't help them at all. Like there's basically nothing you could do with that. You get 4 blueprints with that. The amount of value that each A-coin has is reduced significantly when you're higher SP. So some type of reward scaling makes sense, and this was essentially the way to do it. So that's just something you have to understand. Like for myself, for my free-to-play account, right? I'm like 5,000-6,000 SP. I was in the master bracket last time. Maybe I don't even belong in the master bracket with these new changes. I don't even know. But my bots weren't that bad. Like my bots weren't bad, I wouldn't say. They were pretty on par. I was in like Master 1. I actually probably would have moved up to Grandmaster if I had enough time, but like I don't belong in Grandmaster with that freaking hanger, dude. Like, come on. So, understandably, they don't want, you know, 5-6k SP people being in Grandmaster. They don't belong there with the way that the matchmaking works, which, by the way, it works that way to prevent SP dropping. And that's not helpful for me either, right? Like, if I'm losing all the time from all of these bots, I'm not really gaining any A-coins. So it's better for me to be in a lower bracket. I will say that part makes sense, and that part I am okay with. However, I think the thing that people are most concerned about, and understandably, is the rewards, right? The rewards will be reduced to help stabilize the in-game economy, right? Now, most people will say that, like, well, that's kind of a BS reason, right? Like, who cares about in-game economy? In-game economy doesn't matter. But I will say real quick, I'm just going to quickly kind of explain, like, in-game economy, kind of how it works and why it actually exists. If Plarium were to give you everything that you ever wanted right now, you would stop playing after a couple months. You'd get bored because there's nothing for you to work toward. There's no reason to continue playing. There's no reason to grind. You already have everything. You just don't care. And this is largely my sentiment for my main account that already owns everything. I know this because I do have an account that owns everything, and I just don't care that much. Now, is it interesting to have all of it? Is it interesting to do it sometime? Yeah, sure. But the point is that people are very interested in trying to collect things, trying to upgrade things. And if you just give everyone 1 billion A coins right now, that's not going to be helpful. They'll be happy for a couple months, but then the game will die because everyone's going to quit because it gets boring after that. So in order to keep it interesting, you can't just give everyone as many A coins as they want. You have to give them a certain amount. You have to give them enough to be able to do good things with it, but not so much that they end up buying out everything, within a little bit of time, and then they get bored and leave. So in-game economy, it's a thing that exists for a reason, a good reason even. But do they need to reduce the rewards, right? Like, were we actually getting too many A coins, as they say? Not really. I mean, maybe a little bit, like with some, very basic math and not including some other sources of A coins, right? You could easily determine that if you were to do somewhat reasonably well, just like average, right? And at the end of the month, you would have enough to guarantee 1 Mech Crate Rush event, right? You get like 7,000. And that's fine, right? That's basically 1 out of every 4 Mech Crate Rush events, you can guarantee them. So they could reduce it by a little bit and that would still be okay. But how much are they going to reduce it by? I think that's the main thing. They don't say how much they're reducing it by. The only thing they're saying is that they're going to reduce it and that it's still going to be higher than the old tournament system. But it's sure, the old tournament system was balls though. It was super garbage. And also, if you're going to keep the tournament down for a couple weeks, does that even out the average or not? So there's a lot of questions that we're not going to have answers to until they actually roll out the update, until we actually get the new tournament, which we will in 5 days, 17 hours. You can see it in the game right now. So the question is, I suppose, right, what was the old tournament average? I know how much we were getting, and you could make an argument that it was more than we needed. Sure, maybe a little bit. You shouldn't be able to guarantee every single Crate Rush event, because if you can save and guarantee every single one of them easily, just as a regular random free-to-play player, if you can do that easily, then you're going to get every single mech within a matter of a couple months, and you're going to own everything within a couple months, and you're just going to get bored after a couple months. Again, it's a matter of keeping people from just getting bored and not having any real goal. So it makes sense to not allow people to get an excessive amount of A coins, but we weren't really getting an excessive amount of A coins. I think the amount that we were getting was fine. And if they were going to reduce it, reducing it by 10, maybe 20% is, I suppose, the extent to which I would say would be all right. Because, at the end of the day, it's not like mechs are the only thing that costs A coins. All kinds of things cost A coins. You gotta spend A coins for rank ups, you gotta spend A coins to buy things. Mechs and weapons both cost A coins for rank ups. Certain weapons cost a stupid amount of A coins. Pilots cost a stupid amount of implants cost a stupid amount of A coins. Everything costs a stupid amount of A coins, really. So yeah, that definitely raises some concern. And the fact that they don't say how much they're reducing it by is, I would say, a bad sign. Also, here, victory-based rewards. So they're only going to give A coins to the people who actually win. So if it's free for all, then they'll give it to the top 5 people. That's what they mentioned. That's one of the only things they mentioned in this forum that isn't in this post here. But this part, I think, kind of just wasn't necessary because, let's be honest, a lot of the tournament battles were kind of already just unreasonably unfair. And if you don't have a squad of competent teammates, then no matter how good you were, your teammates were always capable of throwing the game if they were bad enough. And sometimes you're just like, no, I wouldn't even say sometimes, I would say most of the time, you would get paired up against people who are just way higher SP than you. Now, granted, the change to the bots is sort of meant to keep you from being in those brackets where you don't belong, but there were also cases where those high SP players didn't belong in those brackets, and that's, I think, the bigger issue here. And my main fear is that whereas people were relatively happy just competing for the sake of competing, for the sake of getting the rewards, now you only get the main reward if you win, and this is going to highly encourage people to use any type of exploit that might exist in this mode, which certainly there are at least one. It's impossible to make a system like this perfect. There's going to be at least one exploit, and knowing Plarium, they're not going to punish people who use it. They're just going to leave it as it is. So I don't have really high hopes for that, and that's a concern that I have for sure. As well as the fact that, I mean, let's be honest, that also brings the average A coins down. Like, let's say you're in Master, right? And you're getting, what is it, like 45 A coins per battle, right? I have my calculator up right now, right? So 45 A coins per battle. If you're on the top of a winning team, so this is the base number. Let's say 50% of the time you win and you're about top 2. Let's like an average player, right? There's going to be a couple other players, but there's also going to be a couple bots. You're probably better than bots. An average performance, you'll be maybe top 2 on a winning team half the time, and half the time you'll be top 2 on the losing team, right? So for the winning team, top 2, you get 90%. So this is times 0.9. So 41 A coins should be what you get. I believe it rounds. So 41 A coins for being on top of a winning team. Plus, of course, the being top 2 on a losing team, which I believe would be 40%. So this would be 45 times 0.4, which is 18. Right. And then you divide this by 2. So your average A coins are 29.5 per battle in the old system. Let's assume that they keep the A coins the same, which they're not going to. They're going to reduce it. But this is going to be 45 times 0.9 for winning team. And you get nothing for being on a losing team. So this is just divided by 2. Your average goes down by about 9 A coins, which is almost 30%. So I think what people are kind of missing here is the victory-based rewards are actually going to reduce your average A coin gain by a lot. And I mean a lot. And this is not even considering the fact the A coins per bracket are also going to go down a lot. So let's say it goes from 45 down to 35. So now this is times 0.9, and that's divided by 2. This is assuming you're a completely average player, you win half of your battles, and you place top 2. So you get about 16 A coins per battle, times 8, you get about 126 for a full day, which is still not terrible. It's better than we used to get, but we have to keep in mind the fact that we used to get basically nothing, and the old system was completely garbage, right? So that shouldn't be the baseline. My point here is simply to express to you mathematically the fact that victory-based rewards will reduce your earnings by about 30%. So whereas you would have gotten like maybe 240 A coins per day, my estimation is that you're going to get about half as much with both things being the reward decrease and the victory-based A coins change. Now, there is something that you can do sort of to remedy the victory-based A coins issue, and that is to play in a squad. If you're a full team of 5, a lot of times you'll just get paired up against bots. The bots should be easy. 5 players should win against 5 bots, and if you don't, you didn't deserve A coins anyway. And so in a lot of cases, you know, a full team of 5 is just a way to essentially guarantee a win. You could team up with people who you know will be at least somewhat competent. And I have spaces in my Discord server for people to team up with each other. I teamed up with some people during the last tournament. I was teaming up with people quite a lot as well, because, bro, the random teammates, they're crazy. So you could do the same, and that works very well. People have been enjoying that. But yeah, so that is everything that will be changing, and, you know, kind of my thoughts on most of it. What's the most annoying about all of it is that, presumably, they could have done it this way from the start and not had to reduce the amount of A coins, and everyone would have been fine. I don't think people would have had a major issue with it. The issue for a lot of people, and this is kind of a message to Plarium, right, is that people are not necessarily so upset about the fact they're going to get less A-coins. They're upset about the fact that they did get more and now it's being cut down, right? So if they were to just get this amount from the start, or even less from the start, 90% of people wouldn't have complained. If it was still better than the old system, they'd be okay with it. I would say that for future reference, things like this, you should always err on the side of caution. First off, double check your numbers, assuming that is actually the reason that you're reducing the amount of A-coins. Second off, it'd be better for everybody if you were to kind of lowball it for the first little bit, and then if you wanted to update it, then you raise it up. That makes people happy, right? Like, oh, actually, you get a little bit more A-coins now. People are like, yeah, nice. As opposed to now where it's like, oh, well, actually, we gave you too much and we're gonna have to cut it like in half. Okay. Yeah, obviously people aren't going to be super happy with that. But yeah, that's about all I have to say. I'm not going to say that it was a good update or that it's a necessary update. I don't know how much they're going to reduce it by. I guess we just have to see, right? Once again, I think the old amount of A-coins that we were getting on average per day, whatever, I think that amount was fine, because even after everything was said and done, we still could only get about 7,000 A-coins a month, which once again would be enough to guarantee a crate rush event for 1 mech out of every 4. So that's still not very good, right? And if you want A-coin based weapons, then that's even less. So I don't think that reducing it was necessary, period. We'll have to see how it works out. According to them, once the update actually goes live, they will have a feedback forum in Discord, where people can give their feedback. So I'll be giving my feedback when that happens, once I see, you know, what all the new numbers are and everything. Anybody in the comments, like, if you're thinking of complaining to me, like, sure, you can do that. I don't care. I'll take the free engagement, I suppose, but I can't do anything about it. And I'm not going to express your concerns. As far as Plarium's concerned, it's just one person saying something. So you should also go to Discord. Once this update rolls out, you should go to Discord, give your feedback. As many people as possible should give their feedback on all of this stuff, right? Not all of it be funneled toward one person and then one person give the feedback, but everybody should give their own feedback so that they know that it's a lot of people and not just one or two. But yeah, that's about it for me. Appreciate y'all. Take care.